Thanks for joining us. Hope you guys having a good week so far. Le'i Lima. Always you, Lay. Thank you so much. Man, it's good to see you guys. I already see you guys blowing up the chat. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Welcome to the channel. My name is Doug, and this is Leaving the Dream. Thank you for joining us on our 60th live stream. It's good to have you guys. Tonight we're talking about the Cowboy Lindsey Kinney case. He was recently arrested. So we're going to talk about what happened in that case. We're going to talk about what that means for him and what that means for the Miske trial. Because everybody was asking me to say something about it. Everybody's concerned this is going to mess up the Miske case. And there is definitely a possibility of that. And that's what we're going to get into. But after this video, you're going to have a better understanding of what exactly happened, what he's being charged with, the time he's facing, and what his situation is. So I just want to say thank you guys for coming out. I want to give a shout out to all my patrons. I can already see you guys in the chat as always. Sierra Tumbaga. Thanks for coming, Sierra. That's awesome. I'm glad you made it. Mahalos. So if you're interested in joining our Patreon, head on over to patreon.com/DougKaranik and sign up. We'd love to have you. We deal with important topics. And I know that we're all having a blast. So we'd love to have you out there. Make sure you go check it out. I'm going to give some quick shout outs. I got 10 of my Patrons I'm going to give a shout out to today. Tiffany Pearson, Kavehi, Laura Marquez, Sandee Moiha, Hokupaa KA, Michelle Crows, Reiko Namiki. Happy birthday, Nans. Rachael Iga, Carolyn Bacon. Carolyn, make sure you go and add your address to the Patreon. They're trying to send you a mug or a shirt or something. You got some merch coming this month. Just make sure you update your address. And Bernadeen Valdez, just want to give a shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all the support. Always watching the videos and got always kind things to say. So I appreciate you guys, honestly. I'll see you guys 5:30 Monday afternoon, 5:30 Hawaii time, 2 more days. This week we're going to be going over to Mailbox Conspiracy. So if you want to go through the Mailbox Conspiracy with us, the inside story on the greatest corruption case in Hawaii history, go check it out. We also got, 30 videos on Honolulu homicide, all the notorious crimes of Hawaii's past and present. So go check it out. As always, guys, all my notes and references can be found in my Patreon feed. You can also go to DougKaranik.com and check out all the paperwork. I've posted the entire criminal complaint on Cowboy. I've posted his arrest warrant, and I posted the 3 pages of his detention documents because, well, we'll get into it after this one. What's up, Jap Soul? Waikiki B-Boys in the house. All right, let's get into it. You know what I'll do? Make some quick shots out. Le'i Lima, thank you so much. Always being a blessing. Thanks for the $20 super chat. Man, you're awesome. It never fails. TK Holani, Shiloh, Nate Fleming. What's up, Nate? Good to see you, bro. I'm glad you came out. Oh, no way. Mana, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mana. Happy 12th, bro. The Dab Track channel. What's up, Doug? Hey, what's up? Thanks for coming out. Tia Lisa Fernandez, thanks for coming through. Marissa Alvarado. Lovely Courtney. Flying Hawaiian, how's it? Charlton Carter, what's up? The Dab Track channel says, hey, Doug, what's your take on that case where the son beats his mom to death in Waianae? Yeah, I'll probably do something on that. I guess I'm waiting for a little bit more info. But that's super sad, man. Super sad case. What's up, Super G? Happy birthday, High Soul. Carrie Lee. How you doing, Carrie? Minority Reporter, as always. Jap Soul. Jovan Lopez, what's up? Been a while. Cat in the house. Kapoi Kai Lions. How you doing, Kai? Sheldon Figueroa. Kai Noah 703. Dan Toy 2. Brocart Wolf in the house. Justin Militante. 808. Hawaiian Punch. What's up, guys? King Eddie. What's going on, Eddie? How you doing, bro? Happy birthday. I won't catch you tomorrow, but I'll see you on Monday night. Happy birthday. All right, B-Lo gives shout out to all his Wine-Eye brethren. All right, guys, cool. Let's get into this. This one's a big interest to everybody. It's Cowboy. It's man, what a whirlwind with Cowboy. He's exciting. There's like a polarity there. What's interesting about Cowboy is he's like the gangster, you know, kind of enforcer, outlaw biker, but then he turns hero and he becomes the keystone, really, for the whole Miske situation. I'm releasing a video in the next week or two, probably on John Frazier's birthday on May 10th is what I'm thinking. Probably in a couple weeks here on his birthday, I'm going to release a few videos where I'm going to break down the details of what happened. And so I've learned so much about how much is involved here. But guys, it all comes down to when Cowboy went live. That one day after getting shot at Kuloa. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. It all came down to that. And I think that's what makes this so interesting. I have a lot of people who've always asked me, what do I think about Cowboy? And is he a liability to the prosecution? Is Cowboy a problem for the Miske case? I don't think he is. Johnny Walker, what's up? Thanks for coming through, all the way from Thailand. So I don't think that it's a problem for the Miske case. Now, it could be inconvenient for Cowboy. It could be a problem for him. But I think having gone through what he went through and then becoming Mike Miske's #1 enemy, really, this was the snowflake that started the snowball that rolled down the hill and turned into what we got. We got murder charges, racketeering. Miske's facing 100 years. And life in prison without the possibility of parole. They took death penalty off the table. What's up, Scott? So this all came down to him. And so it's just such an interesting dynamic. And he's such a polarizing figure. You love him or you hate him. And you have so many people that look to him for the voice of rebellion. And then he says a lot of things that make sense. And then he says a lot of things that people can't relate to. It's wild. Everyone's passionate about Cowboy, one way or the other. No one's lukewarm on Cowboy. He's captivating, really. If he drops a video, you're watching it. Let's be honest. You can't deny it. Cowboy drops a video, you want to watch it. So it's just an interesting dynamic. And so that's why we're going to talk about this today. I know that a lot of people wanted to know what's going on, what happened. So I'm going to break down based on the court documents. So if you want to see the documents yourself, you can either join the Patreon and they're already posted, or you can go to DougKarenik.com, visit the blog section, and you'll see all 17 documents that I have posted there right there. And for those of you who don't know, LINDSEY Cowboy Kinney is essentially the key witness in the Mike Miske trial. He's the one who claims that he was offered, I think, $50,000 to kill John Frazier, but said no. And then went to the FBI. They were trying to kill him because he said no. So you can find his videos all over. If you search Cowboy Kinney, you can find everything. So go ahead and do that when you get a chance, you can see. All right, guys, let's break down what happened to Cowboy and what he's looking at, okay? The incident took place January 17, 2022. The warrant for his arrest was issued April 7, 2022, and Cowboy was arrested on April 13th, about 11 days ago. He allegedly violated Title 18 U.S. Code Chapter 41, Section 875, entitled Interstate Transmission of Threat to Injure the Person of Another. Basically what this says, and I broke all this down here and you'll be able to find it in the description when I drop the video later, that whoever transmits in interstate and foreign commerce any communication containing any threat to kidnap any person or any threat to injure the persons of another shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. So it's up to 5 years and some fines. That's what they're basically facing. So this section prohibits, and this is what he did, it prohibits transmitting in interstate or foreign commerce any communication containing any threat to injure the person of another by making public written and oral threats on a social media platform to kill 3 identifiable persons. And when I read what he wrote in his posts, the ones that are in question, it will be graphic and it won't be safe for work. So if you got Keiki around, I'm going to read the statements that he said. So if you guys got kids watching, just be aware of that. And then that's basically the key to this whole thing was that he allegedly threatened 3 identifiable people on social media. Social media is tricky. When I was undercover, I had a social media investigation. It was the first in the department, in the Honolulu Police Department. And they didn't really know how to handle social media investigations. We talk about it on the channel a lot. And if you've ever watched any videos, you understand the nuances, you understand how precise and surgical probable cause has to be, and how devastating a mistake can be, fruit of the poisonous tree. One screw up and you can throw the whole case. And I've had that happen before. I had a case happen where I wrote down the wrong report number in my report. And they overturned the ruling years later. All because I wrote the wrong numbers down. That happens. And so the fruit of the poisonous tree is the concept that any mistake that you make, whether you don't have probable cause or you didn't document something correctly, every discovery that happens because of that gets thrown out of court. So the key here is this is a social media investigation. He made these statements. They were against identifiable people, dealing our employees. And the big problem for Cowboys, I think, is because he was on video. You guys know most of the time with social media, it's hard to prove who posted things. And just because a post comes from a specific account doesn't mean that there's proof that you are the person that posted it. That's why there's problems when you have, say, domestic issues and you have people that have cross-complaint TROs. Because if someone gets a TRO against someone, it means they cannot contact them. They cannot see them. They can't come within 100 yards of them, all those other stipulations. But it also says you can't contact them, text them, DM them, hit them up on social media, none of that. So if someone texts from that account, if it was them, that's a violation of their TRO. But good luck proving that it was them just because it came from their account, right? So the probable cause becomes a problem because just because it came from the account, if it was just text, you can't prove they're the ones that did it unless they confess. But in the case of video, that's a pretty easy one to prove because you have the guy's face saying it. That'll get increasingly harder as we go into the future with all these deep fakes. But right now, it's not too hard to determine if that was the person. So the key here is that he allegedly threatened on camera 3 identifiable people. It wasn't just this obscure, I'm going to kill these people. It was 3 specific people. The agent who filed the complaint is assigned to the Joint Terrorism Task Force in the Pacific. And they basically deal with criminal, national security matters, including international, but also domestic terrorism. And the Joint Terrorism Task Force, they can use everything. Search warrants, physical surveillance, they can interview witnesses, they can collect and analyze their own digital evidence, including evidence contained from computers, cell phone providers, or internet providers. So they can do it all. And these are the people that are bringing these charges. So the probable cause for arrest comes from the January 5th, 2022 incident between the Associated Cowboy and Victim 1, who is a DLNR employee. I'm going to call Victim 1 the harbor master, just to make it easier. So it starts, the probable cause starts on January 5th from Cowboy's friend. Based on the FBI investigation and information obtained by social media postings by Cowboy and others, law enforcement personnel, victims, and witnesses, Cowboy characterized himself as a member of a group of persons who identified themselves by military titles, ranks, describes their efforts as operations, they don military uniforms, carry illegitimate military documents, and state that they are part of a military organization. We'll call them Group 1. The investigation has revealed that Group 1 is led by a person using an alias and purporting to hold the rank of a colonel in Group 1. So right now I'm reading from the actual criminal complaint that they filed against Cowboy Kinney. And they're stating that based on their investigation, they know that Cowboy is a part of this group, that his friend, who's the leader of a group using an alias, that they identify themselves with military ranks, they describe their efforts as operations, they wear military uniforms, and they carry illegitimate military documents. Based on reporting from the DLNR, this guy, Associate 1, this is Cowboy's friend, he had been using a boat as a residence on the water and means of transportation among the Hawaiian Islands. The DLNR Division of Conservation and Resources Enforcement, they call it DOCARE, D-O-C-A-R-E. They reported that this guy owes the state of Hawaii $30,000, resulting in non-payment of mooring fees due to the unauthorized mooring of the vessel in the state small boat harbors, and disposal and demolition fees for the sailboat that he formerly owned. They impounded that vessel, by the way. So it says here, the harbor master is an employee of DLNR and was acting in his official capacity as the Waianae small boat harbor master when he first approached Cowboy's friend on or about January 2nd, 2022. to verbally warn him that he could not keep the vessel in the harbor because he was not following the mandated guidelines. I don't know what those guidelines were. But it says, acting on behalf of DLNR, on January 5th, the harbor master served this guy while he was operating the vessel as a written warning to vacate the area or be subject to citation. So we have victim 1, victim 2, victim 3. Victim 2 is this. Victim 1 is the harbor master. Victim 2 is the harbor master's wife. There's 3 people involved here. So victim 2 is a spouse of the harbor master. She saved a Facebook live stream posted by Cowboy's friend that documented the January 5th encounter between him and DLNR, including the harbor master. This live stream caught about 5.5 minutes of the encounter, and it depicts, amongst other things, when the DLNR officials, including victim 1, the harbor master, came up to the vessel and advised him that they were going to provide him a written notice. But he stated he didn't care because he was already underway. Underway means he had already launched, like he was already moving. As the officials approached the vessel and attempted to provide the written notice, this guy became increasingly aggravated. He began yelling that the officials couldn't provide him the written notice while his vessel was underway. During the interaction, Cowboy's friend, Associate 1, he acted hostile towards the officials and called them derogatory names to include effing traitor. But approximately 1 minute and 48 seconds into the stream, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, Associate 1 called the U.S. Coast Guard saying, "We have an armed engagement." After that transmission of the Coast Guard, he stated, come on, yeah, no. I get all you guys, huh? Especially you. At this point, the indistinct voices in the background can be heard until approximately 2 minutes and 41 seconds when Associate 1 states, effing guys. So as the recorded stream proceeded, Associate 1, Cowboy's friend, continued to go back and forth between yelling at the master harbor and the other officials. He transmitted his location and instructions to the U.S. Coast Guard. During that interaction, Associate 1, who's the leader of this group, articulated that he believed the officials were armed and stated, "Oh, cuz, you come in here armed, Roger Dodger, yeah, Roger, you do that, you're effed." Following the January 5th, 2022 encounter in a video posted on his Facebook page, this same guy, Associate 1, asked his followers to identify the names and residences of the state employees captured on his video, which included the harbor master. So, to kind of give you an overview here, he filmed his encounter with DLNR, them trying to serve him written warnings, stating that he had to vacate, stating that he owed all this money. He said, no, I'm underway, and he took off. But they're yelling back and forth. He calls the Coast Guard and says he's at an armed engagement. They have guns. Then he goes online, posts it, and apparently told people on the live stream to find the Facebook profiles of these people. The thing that scared them was he asked them to identify the names and the residences of them. So this is where Lindsay Kinney enters the criminal complaint. That was where everything started. That was the beginning. So this is how the charges apply to Cowboy. So on the 17th, the harbor master contacted HPD and the FBI National Threat Operations Center, the NTOC, to report that on January 17th at approximately noon, Cowboy made threats which were posted to his Instagram page to cut off the heads of the harbor master, his wife, and a third person who was a friend of theirs, and take the victims, quote, to the gates, and posted the social media profiles of the harbor master, his wife, and their friend. So basically what they're saying is, the harbor master, Kinney's friend, Associate 1, the leader of this group, asked for the Facebook profiles, the names, and residences. Cowboy posted to his Instagram page that he was going to cut off their heads, the wife, the husband, and a third person who's their friend, that he was going to take them to the gates. So the harbor master explained that Cowboy is a member of that group and posted his family's profiles because he, acting in his official capacity as the boat harbor master, was involved in the encounter with his friend, Associate 1, on January the 5th. He stated that he believed Kinney was a contract killer based on the media reports about Kinney's prior involvement with Mike Miske. This is how this kind of backfired. So because he was asked to kill John Fraser and admitted it and was known as an enforcer, when he posted the information in the profiles of the harbor master's wife and their friend, he literally becomes someone who has the means, the criminal history, and now has identified people and made those threats. So that's what scared them. That's why they went to the FBI and went to HPD. He said that Kinney is charged in the District of Hawaii with racketeering and related crimes that included murder and had been widely reported in the media as being involved with Mike Miske. So on January 20th, what is this, 3 days later? The harbor master's wife told the FBI that she was informed by a friend that Cowboy's friend posted videos on his Facebook page stating he was coming to their house to, quote, retrieve his stolen property. She stated that he previously asked the public via social media for her husband's personal info, including his home address. She stated that subsequent to Associate 1's solicitation of personal information about her husband, Kinney posted to his Instagram account, the Can't Stop Cowboy, on January 17th, the social media profile pictures of her, her husband, and their friend, and made threats about cutting off their heads of all three of them. And according to her, after she responded to Kinney's posts, he created an Instagram account named EO and Justice and reported his threats about beheadings without including their profiles. So that same day on the 20th, the harbor master provided more information to the FBI that Kinney subsequently posted a video stating that Deeanna is a part of a human trafficking ring and that Kinney will overthrow the Hawaiian government and then be king. The harbor master and his wife provided FBI with relevant screenshots and recordings of Kinney's posts to the public pages of his Instagram account containing threats to physically harm them. The threatening posts included multiple pages containing, amongst other things, a writing containing the threats to behead them, all three of them, a video in which Kinney addresses or references the harbor master by his title and DLNR. Now, I saw this video. I'm sure you guys saw it. This is the one that had the music and had like the clips and him talking. It was like edited. This video included the Facebook profiles of all three of them and a screenshot of threatening messages that appear to be Apple iMessages. So this is what the messages say. This is what is inside the complaint, okay? From the Can't Stop Cowboy account, this is what the government is alleging. I will unite the 12 tribes once again. If it's the last thing I do, truth will come to light. Why don't you sellouts come out of your dumb tunnels? You know why you know like come out. Shame you. The one shaking in your boots, and I have all the proof to open anyone's eyes. What you see when you look into my eyes is fearless. Nothing but truth, love, and justice. You will see in these eyes shame on you for taking the envelope. All of you will reap what you sow. I'm sending each and every one of you to the gates for treason. Your heads are mine. You going to the gates headless. As our Father is waiting for you all patiently. One-way trip. Aloha. On the first page of Kinney's post, there was a written threat. And below that video was KINNEY addressing the Harbor Masters and DLNR about various topics. This is what it said in the video, if you guys can remember. It says, "You Harbor effing Masters, DLNR, mother effing yeah. I see your effing plans. I see your effing move. Yeah. You try to effing make all the sovereignties fight one another. Yeah. Am I right? Bitch boys. Huh? Why? Because you scared. Yeah. All you guys scared. All you DLNR. Why are you scared? Truth will come to light. And all the envelopes that Mike Miske," and then he named some other guy that I didn't know. "All these human traffickers here, all you guys, you all scared. What you guys scared of? You scared of us uniting as one and coming together and seeing past all your illusions and smoke and mirrors?" And then the video plays for a little bit. "You Harbor Masters, DLNR," and then the video comes on. "Smoke and mirrors, right? When I come back from Molokai, I want a meeting, and I will come with truth, love, and justice. I want to know what you guys like, what you guys' choice is. That's what I like to know. What you guys' choice is, huh? I know already. You guys gonna choose love because you guys don't want justice. And you guys know I have all the proof of all you communist pricks taking EO's children, my brothers and sisters, selling them as slaves. Shame on you." And the video replays. Smoke and mirrors. So, KINNEY's written threat that I read earlier is below a photograph of the former Waianae Small Boat Harbor Master, along with a comment by someone identifying the person as the Harbor Master. So they're trying to show you, hey, they know who he is. They know his name. They know this guy. This is who he's talking about. And they said Harbor Master. They just didn't say his name. Now, KINNEY's written threat is also below the Facebook profile of the Harbor Master's wife, which is comprised of a photograph of the Harbor Master, a photograph of his wife, and a photograph of his minor children. The name of the Harbor Master's wife and her mantra, the thing that she says on her Facebook profile, which is comprised of a photograph, according to her, KINNEY appears to have screenshotted her Facebook profile and that of her husband and their friend and pasted those screenshots into individual posts on KINNEY's page. Now, pasted between the Facebook profile and the written post are two direct messages in right-sided blue bubbles, which means it looks like an iMessage. And when it's right-sided blue, it's the person who took the screenshot that sent the message, right? If it's left-sided in gray, that was an incoming message. This is all part of the investigation. This is how they're nailing down who was sending it. He posted a picture of a screenshot with the bubbles in blue on the right side. And in the bubble it says, "I'll happily meet them alone. We see who come out with their head. And after I take their heads, I will be king." Now that threat was below the Facebook profile of the Harbor Master, which had a picture of him, had his name, and his mantra, his Facebook slogan. The Harbor Master and his wife also provided a screenshot of a written post by KINNEY at his Can't Stop Cowboy Instagram account in the comments section to the threatening post described in the preceding paragraph. KINNEY posts to the comment section. This is what he wrote. "They like take down my shit. Truth must hurt. When I come back, we can talk in person. I have a lot to say to you bitches on payroll. I have all the time in the world. You the ones running out of time." And he put an hourglass. "Do the Pono thing, or you're going to feel my grandma's wrath. Tables has turned. To the death. I'm king. One of many. All the kings will be put back where they belong. The ones with the true bloodline. Real talk. Your move, bitches. I'm not effing around. When I want a meeting, I want a meeting. So the harbor master and his wife also provided another screenshot of the Can't Stop Cowboy account, appearing under the screenshot of an apparent iMessage, the same thing, blue bubble right-hand side, of an argument between Kinney and another person. The Can't Stop Cowboy account says, been going through this shit for 5 years, LMFAO. Freemason bitches on payroll, LMFAO. They think they can kill me by playing with their keyboard. Don't tempt me with a good time. Not my first rodeo. Let's dance. You know, he said, you know what? Go gather all your bitches on payroll. Come, I like C. We see who God is with. I challenge all you devil sons and daughters. Let the games begin. Come meet your maker. I'll show you who he is. Little boy lovers, STFU. All you're going to do is watch me walk on by. All you have no game. Checkmate. I'm here to win this war, not lose. No. You go first. So, this is what they have him posting online, connected with the posts that have videos of him talking and audio of him narrating the video that was edited. So they're kind of putting all this together. That was what the strategy was. So the agent says, based on my training experience as well as my investigation into Kinney and his associate One, I believe that Kinney's references in his posts and comments to be on payroll means government employees, including those on DLNR. When interviewed by the FBI, the harbor master and his wife told agents they felt threatened by the posts that Kinney directed towards them and took the threat seriously. They were at their highest threat level, locked their outdoor gates, kept loaded firearms ready and staged at the front door, and rehearsed security procedures with their children due to the threats in Kinney's association with Mike Miske. And you really can't blame them. When you find out, when you guys see the stuff Mike did, blatant, obvious death threats, warnings, the crazy stuff he did and said and got away with, it's terrifying. It is terrifying to think. And the people that he terrorized for so long. And when you're in the law enforcement community, you see what that is. You see what that looks like. So for him to be associated with Mike and to have the past he has, he did what anybody would do when threats came on. Kept loaded firearms ready, staged them at the front door, and rehearsed security procedures with their kids. The FBI also interviewed victim 3, which was his friend, the harbor master's friend, who stated he viewed the threat shortly after it was posted and felt Kinney was serious that would try to cut off his head and kill him. As a result, he enabled his video security system at his house after the threats of Kinney. Based on my training experience and my investigation into this matter, I know that victims 1 through 3 are residents of state of Hawaii, viewed the threats by Kinney. Remember, that's an important concept, guys. The victim has to view the threats. Because the victim has to feel threatened. So that's why this is being mentioned so many times in the criminal complaint. Said that they're residents of the state of Hawaii. They viewed the threats by Kinney while in the state of Hawaii, because it has to show jurisdiction. This happened in Hawaii to residents of Hawaii who viewed the threats. And Kinney is a resident of the state of Hawaii, which means that they have jurisdiction over him to arrest him. I also know that the above described post by Kinney traveled through computer servers outside the state of Hawaii used by Instagram, a social media platform owned by Meta Platforms, Inc. I also know that above described post by... So here's the thing, guys. If you're wondering how this went from a state crime to a federal crime, jurisdiction is huge. You have a person in Hawaii making threats to someone who's also in Hawaii. Both of them live in Hawaii. However, these threats are being done on Instagram. Instagram stores their servers at Meta Platforms Inc. I believe it's in California. Those threats went through Instagram, which means they went into California and then made it back to Hawaii for the victim to feel threatened. That's interstate commerce. That's why the charges aren't just terroristic threatening. Because, and it's rare that you get these charges. It's not very often you get an Instagram message that you can prove who did it. Because normally it's just like a text. It's rare that someone goes on Instagram, records their face and their voice, and says that stuff. That's why this is so different. That's why this is such a complicated federal offense. Because it was interstate commerce. The threat left digitally, left Hawaii, and came back to Hawaii. So hopefully that makes more sense now that you've had it broken down. So based on all these facts and circumstances, on January 17, 2020, within the District of Hawaii, he violated 18 U.S. Code Section 875 by threatening and posts on social media. So this is what he gets charged with. You can find the arrest warrant on DougKrennic.com or in my Patreon. But here's what happened. After they arrested him, they brought him into court. Normally, you would just get released. Get released on bail. Or in like Sam Kapoi's case, remember, he was released on no bail. Like, I'm sorry, no bail is an actual thing. No bail means there's no bail, you staying locked up. Sam got released with like a bail, like $50,000 or whatever, but they didn't make him pay it. That's not the case here. Because the man was a DLNR employee, the victim was a DLNR employee, and because these were violent threats, and because Cowboy has a violent history, and because he's wrapped up in a current case with all this other stuff, the U.S. government, the prosecutors, they petitioned or requested the judge to hold Cowboy until trial, that he'd be bound over until trial for the safety of the victims. That's the idea. Judge Ram Trader signed an order to detain Lindsay Kinney until trial. They are worried that the victims will be harmed and that Cowboy won't show up for trial. Cowboy is eligible for detention because the crime charged in the complaint is a crime of violence or threatened use of violence. Here were the reasons. They gave 7 reasons for requesting this. The weight of the evidence against the defendant is strong. That's something that you'll see. It's always an option. If there's tons of evidence, like with Mike Miske, this would be one of the bullet points that they request that he get bound over for trial. Number 2, prior criminal history. So because of everything that he's going, let's not even go too far back in Cowboy's history. Let's just talk about the Miske case. He's documented. It's widespread media coverage. Number 3 was history of violence or use of weapons. Number 4 was history of alcohol or substance abuse. Number 5, lack of stable employment. Why is that important? Lack of stable employment is important because there's no ties, no roots. There's not been a pattern of going to work every day. It's not a very predictable lifestyle. And when you don't have roots, you don't have values in a place, you become a flight risk. So every time you hear someone who is petitioning the judge or petitioning somebody in the court that they can either get low bail or be maybe released on bail, house arrest, like in the case of Kalana Freitas, they'll say he has a good job, that he's worked for a while, he shows up every day, all that stuff. Number 6 was lack of stable residence. I don't know where that comes from. Typically that means they paying rent somewhere. They move every year. I don't know his case. And then number 7, Finally, the fact that the defendant asserts that he is a national sovereign who is not subject to the laws of the United States and the jurisdiction of the courts. That one really shot him in the foot. And so I think you can't expect a federal judge, right? Like a U.S. federal judge to assume you're not a flight risk or assume you're not going to show up at court when you tell them, yo, I'm not a citizen of the U.S. I'm sovereign, and I don't recognize your government. Normally, that doesn't hurt your life. But when you catch a federal case, man. So the judge's ruling is based on the allegations in the complaint and Cowboy's rejection of the court's authority in federal law, which suggests that he won't abide by the orders of the court. It's also based on the seriousness and nature of the crime, including the alleged threats of lethal harm to the victims as well as other persons referenced in the pretrial services report, and Cowboy's alleged unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition in the fall of 2020. You remember that SSD raided his house to take his guns. Remember that? Because he was posting online. So there it is, you guys. Cowboy is in federal custody awaiting trial, facing 5 years in prison and a bunch of fines. Who knows what they are? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And I'll get to them right now. Yeah, Nan says, did he admit to killing Jonathan Frazier? I thought I heard you mention that, Doug. No justice for Jonathan. No, he didn't. He did not confess to doing anything with Jonathan. He said he wouldn't, and then flipped on Mike, which I think is a strong. I think that's a strong claim, because it's highly unlikely that someone would go to the feds and say I was offered to kill John, but decided not to, and then put them on the trail. Not to mention that it's rare that someone would flip on somebody who paid them to do a crime. Especially when no one knew, right? Remember, the FBI came to him because of his posts. They were already watching Mike. They were watching Mike for other things. Racketeering, fraud. But when Lindsay went on that live social media and he made that post about them trying to kill him, the FBI went to him and said, yo, let's talk. So the fact that they were watching Mike probably means they had some stuff on Cowboy too. I don't know. But a wild place to be, man. But yeah, typically, guys, if there's something that I know from the Fed side, when the feds come to you, when they approach you, typically they're 90% done with your case. They already got what they need if they're coming to you about something you did. They coming to you and they want to work with you. You don't have much weight. I just got to be honest, guys. When they come to you, you're screwed already. And there's no real plea deals. What can happen is, if you cooperate with the feds, then they can do two things. They can use the time that you're cooperating with them. Let's say 2020, you start cooperating with the feds, and you're telling on people and you're letting them watch you and all this other stuff for 2 years. You've worked with them for 2 years, right? Now hear me. After you work with them for 2 years and you admit to what you did and you worked with them, they can do two things. They can recommend sentence guidelines to the judge. So let's say you're facing up to 10 years. They can go to the judge and say, yo, he cooperated, he helped. Let's give him the 3 years. The judge can do whatever. They can say, no, we're going to go 10. But they can recommend sentence guidelines. Number two, they can take that time that you were working with them and trade that for the time that you were in. So when they come to you, they've already got the case. When we're talking feds, you might as well talk already. The feds come to you about something you did and they got a case, you're screwed. You really are. And I'm really interested in what's going on with this. I don't know, like, it doesn't sound good here for Cowboy. I'm not sure he's got many options here. So I don't know. I saw somebody wrote in here, is this good for the Miske case? That's what this all comes down to, right? Like, the only reason I'm talking about this is because he's such a key player in the Miske case. So this is not good for the Miske case. There's only one lane that this could be good for the Miske case. Just one tiny lane. And that's if Cowboy quit cooperating. If he quit cooperating, which that's the appearance it had, right? If you've watched any of his stuff, if he quit cooperating, this is more that they have against him that will help him cooperate. So more than likely, if there's anything you can pick positive, it's that they'll have a little bit more leverage on Cowboy for him to testify. But for the most part, yes, this can be damaging. The defense can claim, based on Cowboy's criminal history, that he's not a good witness. If they can assassinate his character on stand and make him less valuable, yeah, it can happen. Personally, I'm not sure they need him. I'm not sure they need Cowboy for Mike now. There's too much. You guys, there's so much against Mike. Once he got arrested, the thing is, though, here's the irony of it all. Love him or hate him, nobody really came forward until Cowboy. Once Cowboy came forward and all that happened, so many more people found the courage to come forward on Mike. He really did. He really is a huge part of this. What's up, Chad? Yeah, Johnny Walker said Cowboy would only affect on part of the Miske prosecution. Yeah, there's got to be. I mean, there's 18 charges. So all of which, like, Mike's facing life terms, but then he's facing a bunch of other stuff that adds up to a life term. So, and they keep asking for extensions and they declare the case complex so they can get more time. But I am starting to worry, guys. If you look back at my thumbnails for all my videos, I remember releasing a video like it was entitled Miske's Trial Pushed Back to September 2021 with an exclamation point. That was 7 months ago. I was tripping that it was pushed back to September 2021. So, yeah, it could affect, and the longer they push it back, like the bigger case the defense has on a due process violation. But if they keep signing off on it, it's okay. Right? If the defense keeps signing off every time the prosecution says, yo, we need more time to build our case, the defense needs more time too, right? So every time they say okay and sign off on it, they can't really go back now and say, yo, you guys are taking too long on this thing, especially if they're agreeing to it. You know what I mean? Tater Monkey says, like how stuff can be thrown out if found wrongly. So basically, if everyone after Cowboy comes out does it throughout, gets thrown out because he's no longer a witness. So no. So Tater Monkey, how it works with Cowboy is anything they discovered because of Cowboy will get thrown out. Now, people that came to the Miske case after Cowboy, but not through Cowboy's information, they don't get thrown out. But you're right. If, let's say, Cowboy said, yes, I met at this restaurant when he asked me to get rid of Johnny. And then they do some research at the restaurant, look for camera footage, and then they find out that the owner of the cafe or the restaurant and the server remember when Cowboy came in on that day. Now, let's say they say, we see him here all the time. He had even been here with Mike Miske before. Mike Miske was driving this white truck. Well, then if they go and search for the white truck, find the right white truck, and they find a murder weapon inside, well, if Cowboy gets thrown out, then the witness statements that they got only because Cowboy told them get thrown out, and the truck that they found because of those witness statements gets thrown out, and the murder weapon that they found in the truck that they found because of the witnesses that they found because Cowboy was in the building because he came forward gets thrown out. But those are on procedural issues. So if Cowboy decides not to testify, that's different. But if they say this guy's a liar and they assassinate his character, then they got problems. So I think we're okay on the Miske trial. I do think this is a bigger problem for the prosecution than it is a solution, but I don't know the details. So unless he was not cooperating, and this is more weight to hold on him, cool. But it does look at on a surface level, at face value, prima facie, it looks like this isn't going to help any. I will say that I'm not sure they can assassinate his character as it relates to his testimony. Witness credibility is not based on their violent behavior, necessarily. Witness behavior, you can have a violent but honest witness. So as long as he is honest, they can use that. In a perfect world, if you ask me, I think that we do want Cowboy in this trial. I think that he is a big piece of this. So hopefully this doesn't get thrown out. I really hope Cowboy can still be involved in that case. Tater Monkey said, could Cowboy hold this as a plea bargain? No. No plea bargains with feds. Like I said, they got a strong case. And not to mention, they have him involved in the other stuff that I think they've just been letting him skate on for now. I don't know. She said, so basically drop these charges or he won't testify. No, because I don't think they need him. I think it's going to be more like them say, hey, if you testify, we'll recommend time served, which is going to be probably a year after, by the time the trial's over, right? They're going to come to him and say, yo, here's what we can do. No promises, but here's what we can do. Nons, we are going to start the Mailbox Conspiracy book this Monday. Join the Patreon and join us, guys. Yeah, come check it out. Kayla, those of you who read the Redheaded Hawaiian, that's a good intro to this. I couldn't get it on virtual. You got to buy it on paperback, and it wouldn't have time. TK Halani. Doug, will you be covering the case of Lisa Au at any point in the future? Yeah, I did do that about a month ago on the Patreon. You're signed up on Patreon already, right? We did a whole video on it. So go check it out. Hit me up on social. I'll send them to you. I'll DM you the video. Minority Reporter, hit that like one more time for Dougie Boy. Thank you, man. And then Eat You Alive. Does mental illness make a person less dangerous or more dangerous? Mental illness always makes someone more dangerous as far as the courts are concerned or the law is concerned. But not necessarily less credible. Because there's many kinds of mental illness. Purple Pigeon, thanks for coming through. Camuela. Is Cowboy mentally fit to be a witness? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Sierra says, brah, Hawaii's getting so nuts. Chad says Mike is done. Kamala says, I wonder if Sam Kapoi is mixed up with Miske. The timing of both them going down is close. You know, it's really possible that they had no idea of each other. There's so many. You guys just heard about the guy had 20 pounds. They busted him with 20 pounds on Big Island in Hilo. There's probably 100 other guys. 100 other guys with 20 pounds. But I do know that the paperwork said that they are keeping Cowboy separate from anyone pending trial or anyone that are be called as witnesses in his related cases. So he's probably in solitary. If I had to guess. Anybody been to Fed knows how that works? Richard Oneas, is Cowboy being held where Mike is at Feds? I don't know. I really don't know where he's being held. Would make sense, right? How many places we got for Feds? Cannot keep him in a state facility. Andrew Miller. What did he say exactly? I missed the beginning. I just broke down the case for Lindsay, what he's facing. Sierra, he's being held on Oahu. Pamela Santos says, I think he started believing his own delusions and maybe he's safer in federal custody. Might be, you know. What if he needed to get away for a little bit? He had HPD and the feds always calling him, knocking on his door, all this stuff. And then he kind of got thrown into this. He became like a spokesman. He became a spokesman for this kind of rebellion. All the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff. That's a lot of pressure for anybody. Minority Reporter said he's an ADSEG, administrative segregation. And state uses it too since Halava is overcrowded. Dang. Okay. Cool, guys. Yo, I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for all the support. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I got videos coming up you're not going to want to miss. The next video is going to be on Christopher Deedy and Colin Elderts. Live stream number 61. It'll be next week. You're not going to want to miss that one. I'm going to break down the entire incident, and I'll give you my thoughts on the case and my memories, as I was in HPD when that went down. I was in the academy at the time, so we learned a lot about it, and I'll break that thing down for you guys. So those of you who don't know what it is, you will have the understanding. Those of you who do remember and are interested in what I had to say, then you won't want to miss that one. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you. Hope you guys are having a good week. You guys are awesome, and the support has been amazing. Go to patreon.com/Doug Korenik and sign up, or visit DougKorenik.com. Check out any of the paperwork I have here. And until the next time, folks, aloha.